This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
Welcome to the Bare Naked ABC's Turn the Page, where we discuss every single independent Stephen Page song in chronological order. Joining me tonight, we have Heidi and Allie. Thank you guys for both coming back.
Hi.
Hey, everybody.
And we do not have Aaron or Betsy. They'll hopefully be joining us next week. But tonight we're going to discuss the Vanity Project. That's the faction known as the Vanity Project, with Swipe Right, Jackson Drake, Bryce Donovan, and Zeta Steele. The Vanity Project has been the forefront of the WWE Evolve since the show's revival.
I don't think that's what we're talking about.
Oh, it's not?
I'm pretty sure that's not close.
Which Vanity Project are we supposed to be doing?
Oh, the first solo album that was produced by Stephen Page.
Oh.
Bring it back, Tracy. Bring it back.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's right. We're discussing Wilted Rose, the Guns N' Roses comeback tour. It did not go well at all.
That's not quite it either.
Is Wilted Rose right?
Wilted Rose is correct.
Okay, good. Okay, so what is Wilted Rose then?
It's the single. It's the single from the Vanity Project.
Oh.
It's a song.
Oh, this was the single?
It's a single from the Vanity Project. Yeah. Which is interesting that he chose this as the single.
You know what?
But
I need to go and get more about this song. I obviously did all my research on the wrong stuff this week. So while I'm doing that, here is a quick snippet of that song.
Shall I cast this out, this wilted rose? Yeah.
I don't know. There's great songs on this album, but this being the first single, I'm a little surprised. I think it goes along with him really liking to make a statement, or he just likes flowers that are dying.
He's played this song quite a bit. He's played it 35 times live,
and in a bookstore,
and numerous live from home.
Yes,
and in a live from home. Yeah,
a lot of times live from home.
I would have freaked out if I was just in a bookstore and there's Stephen Page just like jamming out with a harmonica. I'm gonna play this song for you.
The first time he played this live was like last week's song in 2003 in December. Be played it at the Mercury Lounge in New York City. So he had this song kind of sitting around for a year and a half waiting for it to be produced on an album.
Maybe that's why it was wilted.
So on that note, because I have long before tonight and looking at this song for the podcast, I've had my own deep dive into Canadian history. How familiar are you with the reason or what the Wilted Rose represents?
Ooh.
I had some thoughts, but I want to hear what you guys are going to say.
Go ahead, Allie, because I know you know and I know, but you take it, girl.
So Pierre Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada.
Not Justin Trudeau. That's his son.
That's his son. But Pierre Trudeau, the original Trudeau, Trudeau
the
mania.
True Trudeau.
The true Trudeau. He wore a red rose as his lapel flower.
Oh,
That was like his signature. So that is referencing Pierre Trudeau, and obviously the wilted part is because that era, that's over. That kind of idealism. Are you familiar with Trudeau mania? I know you see the fact check, but are you guys familiar with Trudeau mania?
I am not, but I'm guessing it has something to do with like he was prime minister for what, 4 different times, and 3 of those in succession.
Ah,
So he was the prime minister for, I would say, late 1960s through most of the 70s, and then in 79
yeah,
he was voted out, and then he came back in 1984 and was voted back in again for his last
yeah,
term.
which is sorry, I was just looking up the dates because
Also-
where it's not like
So I
Yeah.
also found though that the rose also of social democracy, and then the whole idea of it being wilted as a result when Trudeau left. So it kind of signified the end of that movement towards social democracy.
The walk out in the snow obviously is he took that walk in the snow kind of to reflect.
He did that often, and he usually referred to that, from what I was reading this week. Like he would refer to that just before he was deciding whether or not to run the next time. He would always say he was going out for a walk in the snow in the streets of Ottawa.
So he decided kind of to, but no, that's true, Heidi, that the rose is a socialist symbol. Not in Canada, but in a lot of countries, including in the US for the Democratic Socialist Party. That's a big one.
So that's another interesting little kind of piece that's in there. I think there's a lot of symbolism and metaphor in this song.
I think it's pretty much
so
all
I did not know
symbolism
that.
and metaphor in this song. This song is nothing but symbolism and metaphor.
True. But it can symbolize many different things, and so like I wrote down what I thought the song was about. If we stripped away the metaphor and the symbolism, like what is he really kind of getting to? But I want to hear you guys. What did you think that the song was kind of mostly kind of about?
Before that, I just have a question. You said it was played how many times live?
35, counting live from home.
Oh, okay, counting live from home. Because I was going to say it's 25 live from home. I just checked the spread.
Yeah. Set list lists them. It does not say live from home. It just says private studio environment or something like that.
You know about the spreadsheet
on it. I do have the spreadsheet as well.
The live from home spreadsheet.
Yeah, I have it somewhere, but it's not updated. I copied it so I could like organize it. But the only way I could organize it was if I was the moderator, of which meant I had to make a copy to do so. So it's updated at this point.
Yeah. And it was played at the very first live from home show. So yeah. It was the original.
So I mean, he really must love this song.
Yeah.
Then.
Well, I think if I had to guess, I would assume it's the most well-known song off the Vanity Project.
Fair.
And
I mean, it was a single.
Yeah, but
it even has a video.
Okay, the video. Can we talk about the video?
Do you want to go to the video before we talk more about the meaning?
That video. The video.
It was done by Plates Animation and Yamar Youssef.
The video is crazy.
The Factory Farms, Animal Farm-esque.
I was going to say, I would say it is another layer of metaphor and symbolism, and it's not related to what I would have thought the song is about, but it takes the feeling of the song and what I think the overall message of the song is and puts it into a new metaphor.
Well, I think, like, to me, I spent my youth thinking people spoke the truth. Now it's hard to think. They sold us out and they sold us short, and we're the ones who'll have to pay. To me, like, with the video, the animals start to realize, like, there's a life outside the farm. B, they're being slaughtered. They're being kept in cages. And, like, it kind of, to me, spoke to that disillusionment about life and the world. And I think also around this time, like, he was doing a lot of work. Like, they did Farm Aid, and he's outspoken against factory farms. So I think that's probably because the album overall is political, and the song is too. Also, I feel like I'm a broken record, but, like, the war, it was in the early 2000s, and that was the era of Stephen Harper, who was the polar opposite of Trudeau, who basically was Canada's George Bush. So I think that also, it's also really relevant now, but we can get to that later. But Animal Farm, I think we also, have you guys read Animal Farm?
I have, and I definitely can see, I mean, the themes of Animal Farm match up very much with the Canadian politics of that time, as well as matching up with what Steven's kind of saying about this song. So I could see why they went with that metaphor and with that visual that they created, and it's a very disturbing visual. There are times that I was shocked, like when they throw the pigs into the pig grinder hole, and the baby pig is watching, and I'm like, wow, oh, okay,
Yeah,
wow.
The scene with them on the tender hooks, just all the pigs.
Yeah,
always gets, like, it's not pretty, and I think that's obviously part of the point is, factory farms are not pretty. So I think it was awareness for that. I mean, it goes into the metaphor of Animal Farm, but it kind of doesn't. I mean, obviously it's not a metaphor for fascism. It doesn't go into, Napoleon how Napoleon takes over the farm, but it goes into them basically rioting and, we assume, killing the farmer. Also,
yes,
a little,
but the interesting thing is what they finish with, though. It's
that
not
they go back to the farm.
Yeah, that it's not just that they kill the farmer and they're free.
Yeah.
And then they go out into public and they see the signs and realize society likes the way that things are and backs up the way that things are, and they give up.
Yeah.
And it's just
That's
as
kind of,
Steven says, it's hard to care.
It's hard to care.
Yeah, and it's that kind of that disillusionment. Was I naive to say that I do believe, that none of us should sink?
I spent my youth thinking people spoke the truth. Now it's hard to think.
Yeah.
And what I wrote that this song was about is compassion fatigue. And it happens. It's happened so much in the last 10 years that we've actually come up with that term. Like, compassion fatigue didn't exist until most recently. And we have definitely understood it more. Compassion fatigue is that sense. It's caused by continuous and intense exposure to suffering and trauma of ourselves or others. It's mostly others. And we're it's also called vicarious trauma or secondary traumatic stress. It's called also empathy fatigue, although it's slightly different than empathy fatigue. And it's that blurred line between your feelings and those of the person that you're trying to help. And I think that's what gets the video doesn't quite portray that well, because the animals are in the stressful environment. They're not dealing with compassion fatigue and giving up because of that. It's the disillusionment. But I think Steven's song definitely talks about this compassion fatigue thing, where you try and you try and you really want to make a difference in the world, and after a while the world and hatred just slowly wear you down to where you stop caring very suddenly. It happens. It's kind of like a snap where you just don't have any more. You don't have any more fucks to give, to put it bluntly. And that's the burnout, and it's really sad. So yeah, I think that's what this song is really about.
Well, I think also it's also, like you said, compassion fatigue is something that kind of came about significantly after this. But I definitely see, basically when you do care so much, like the revolution is the first to go, the rest is forced to stay.
Revolution is the first to go. The rest is forced to stay.
I think the lyrics have become really relevant now. I mean, they've always been relevant, but I think especially now. When do you stop? Like, were you naive? Like, we're kind of feeling that now. Empathy apparently has become a 4-letter word somehow? Question mark? But so, like, especially, and I know this is a little off the topic of the interpretation, because obviously some of the, this song was written at least 20 years ago, but they sold us out and sold us short, and we're the ones gonna have to pay. Like, they talk a lot about millennials and Gen Z, like, not being able to afford houses, not having like a retirement, basically the concept of the boomers basically leveraging their children and their children's children's future in pursuit of their goals, their monetary wealth, making stacks on stacks on stacks. Like, they're just like, no, okay, so they sold us out, they sold us short, and now, yay, we're the ones that never will be able to afford a house or start a family, and we're told it's all our fault and to stop eating avocado toast. So, like, why should I even care anymore?
And I think, it's every generation, I think, experiences this to some degree, especially the ones that are revolutionary, the ones that are pushing to make changes on a national and even sometimes small levels. When there's so much empathy and passion put into those 20s, you around mid-30s, you start to see this compassion fatigue start to blend in and happen, where you're like, all this hard work that I'm putting in, why are people fighting against me on this? And then not enough movement is made, and you snap. And I think every generation does this. Every generation has their rallying points, their things that they want to see change. And I think this is around that time for Steven. Like, he was really gung-ho and really trying to make change, and not seeing the changes happen that he wanted to, and then snap. I think this is his point where he's like, is anything that I've done worth it? Is anything I've done gonna change? And I think then he uses Pierre Trudeau as the metaphor and the example to explain this, because that's not what was going on at the time that he wrote this song. Like, Pierre Trudeau had already been gone for over a decade at the point that he wrote this song. But everyone knew that analogy, everyone knew that story, and so he could easily connect into it to try to get people to say, okay, yeah, I reckon I see what you're saying, I get what you're talking about here.
Yeah. Is it, and going back to what Heidi said about the rose and socialism, like that's wilting. The rose is wilting. That like optimism, that hope, that kind of democratic ideals is starting to die.
And to go to what was happening when Stephen wrote this, like what was important to Steve. I think there are lines in the song that might give some idea as to what it was that kind of, I don't know, made him snap. That kind of like was that moment where he's like, and nothing is any of this worth it? And it goes back to, they built a wall to keep them from us all. And most of the time you would think that it's walls are meant to keep people out, but no, the wall is to keep us from them. And we get bits and pieces of hints in this song about what that is. And someone put it online. I'm like, actually, I think that might be it. It's that the third summit of the Americas that happened in Quebec around this time, just a little bit before. And they built up a wall so that you literally could not get to the summit if you were protesting. And it stopped people from being able to protest, and even as much as they would try. They put up a 3-meter high concrete and wire fence to keep people from being able to protest during this conference.
And of course, Quebec is also the only walled city in North America. And
that is,
there's the whole, are you familiar with the Quebec referendum? So yeah, so like there's also, I think, this whole idea, and he very well may have mentioned this in the past, of Quebec wanting to separate from Canada to be a sovereign nation. And I think this whole, well, if they want to, just build a wall around them, let them, kind of like what you were saying, like let them stay. And that kind of breakdown in politics there.
And there's another song that he wrote for, I want to say Our Men. Maybe it was Our Me, that also comes up against that and talks about that in veiled terms. And it was veiled enough when we discussed it that I was like, oh, I did not know what that's what this song is about. But he's come out and said that that's what this song is about. Okay. I'm trying to remember.
Well, I know You Will Be Waiting's about the Quebec referendum.
But yeah, You Will Be Waiting also. And I mean, that's a topic. That's a referendum, a fight that's been going on for a long time. I mean, it was going on during Pierre Trudeau's time as well. And interestingly enough, he's Quebecois, and he was up against Quebec seceding. So
there's a really great documentary. I can't remember the name of it. Maybe Boiling Point, but there's a really great CBC documentary that's probably also at least 20 years old at this point, all about the Quebec referendum. So if you're listening, I didn't give you much information to go on, but go find it and watch it. It was very good.
Yeah, so I mean, is this song about the Quebec secession? Is this song about the Summit of the Americas? Is this song about something else? Is this song about Stephen being a little upset with the way that the band has been going and talking about his own leaving the band possibly in the future? Like, there's so many things that this song could be about, and it's vague, but at the same time, it really hits home with the feeling of what he's trying to get across.
Yeah, I think, like, I know this is probably rules of improv, and you're always supposed to go yes, and I would say that if I had my one thing that I would say is, at least for me, I don't think this is at all about his feelings on the band, though I see where you're picking that up. I think it's political. I think it's talking about politics. That's me, but just because I think there's so many, especially in this time, he was so involved in Canadian politics, Jack Layton, NDP, he was we mentioned WWF at the beginning of the show. That could also stand for World Wildlife Federation, which he was on the board of in Canada. So that's my opinion. And I feel like I've talked a lot and haven't heard from Heidi. So I'm going to stop talking now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Heidi, you're there, right?
I am here. No, it's fine, Allie. Yeah, just a lot about the same things that Allie talked about as some of what I learned about as well, and knew about as well. But I agree with Allie that it's not about the band. It's completely a political statement. It's not even veiled. It's very, very clear. There's so many references. I mean, he even says Trudeau. Like, there's nothing non-political about this song.
And I think if I can, I think another really thing that backs up for what you guys are saying, because I just threw it out there. I honestly, like, there's no passion behind that thought. But to back that up, like, the style that he chooses to use on this song, and I'm sure we'll get to it, this song sounds very Neil Young.
It's very Neil Young. It's very, like, you've got very Bob Dylan. He's got especially with the Neil Young effect with the harmonica. You've got that Dylan Neil Young feel to it. Absolutely. Yeah, it's very connected to, like, the 60s, late 60s folk protest song movement. Very, very similar, without the anger of Neil Young. The subtlety of Stephen Page without the anger of Neil Young.
So maybe more Bob Dylan, like.
But it's very Neil Young.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to throw this out there. I do know the answer, but I want to just throw it out there. The only person listed as an extra on this song is Matthew Page on drums. Allie, you probably know the answer. Who is Matthew Page? I did a deep dive. I had to, like, dig to find it, because, of course, I mean, Allie, I know you know this. His sons are Isaac, Ben, and Jonah, so it's not them. They're not helping out on this song, and plus they'd be, like, what, 5 years old at best at this point.
Yeah, they would have
been really young at this point. So it's not them. So do you guys know who Matthew Page is?
So Matthew Page is Stephen's brother, who is a drummer and was the drummer for Voices Road, another Canadian band, and around the same time as BNL. And they actually, I know, played with him at least at the Bare Naked Circus event in Toronto back in, like, was it like 2001?
Mm-hmm. And I want to say that he was also on the 2003 Ships and Dips. Or no, sorry, 2005 Ships and Dips 3.
Voices Road or Matthew?
Matthew. I think Matthew is the one that's in the background.
Yeah, I would assume he was. I mean, that would just be my guess that he'd be there, whether or not playing. But fun fact that I say resident BNL historian, because are you familiar with, I call him the resident BNL historian because he's just like the fandom collective BNL historian. Are you familiar with Alan Fogel? Yes. He played with him on the Vanity Project songs on one of the Ships and Dip.
Yep. And
yeah. So
was the go-to person when they would forget the lyrics
or
forget the keys.
Right.
He was in the audience, and there's actually a video out there of Ed going, "Alan, what what key is this song in again?
I love Alan so much. He's just such a nice, fantastic person. But his knowledge of BNL is so encyclopedic that it's like I know I can come up with the most obscure question in the entire world and be like, send Alan a message, be like, hey, Alan, insert obscure random question that most people be like, what are you even talking about? And Alan will immediately send me back an answer with like 3 sources.
That sounds right.
I love it.
He's also the one that came up with the web page that has a breakdown of not every single BNL song, but pretty close to it musically in terms of the key they're in, sometimes the
Yep. He's usually comes to the in-person live from home shows. And he's kind of the go-to when a key is forgotten or something like that in Zoom on live from home. And also he helps with like camp and stuff. So if you don't know it, ask Alan. If Alan doesn't know it, it doesn't exist.
If Alan doesn't know it, the BNL probably doesn't even know it.
Yeah. I feel like there's been a time or two where Alan's said something and Steven's like, I don't even remember that. But like I remember like back when I first got into BNL, like I remember his username. Like, and even then I was like, oh, this guy really knows what he's talking about.
We've invited Alan on before. He's like, I don't think I have anything to add. I'm like, are you kidding me?
He's very modest.
He could probably talk for hours and we would always be learning something new.
He did at Stephen Page summer camp. He's ran the Stephen Page trivia for the last 2 years.
Nice.
And this year, I mean, my team won last year, and team, I say it's a team. I'm not taking credit, but so we requested the winner gets to request a song from Stephen. So they let me request my chosen song, which was "Couldn't Care Less," which Alan had to find. Alan had to find the chords for Stephen. And this year, I was like all ready to defend my title. My team came in, I think, 3rd or 4th. Like he really upped the difficulty of these questions. It was impressive.
Oh, of course he did. There's probably questions that only he really knew the
There was a couple times. Steven was there. Steven came and sat in, which there was a couple times he had to ask Steve. Like Steven was like, "What?" Like he was a good fact checker, though, mostly because it's entirely about his life.
Right. Speaking of facts, Heidi, do you want to tell us a little bit about the breakdown of the song?
I can give you a little bit of the breakdown. Right now, what I have,
I can tell you a lot like Mr. Jones by Counting Crows because
it does sound like a lot like Mr. Jones. You are correct.
Steven even thinks so because when they did it on Ships and Dips 5, he started off the song singing Mr. Jones and then switched directly.
I never thought about that.
This.
I never picked up on that.
You know what? I'm going to do it. Yeah.
I think I just blew Heidi's mind.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, they could mash those up really easily. Actually, holy smokes! You've got A minor to F to G to C to E minor. It is a minor based song. You can tell that it's a little darker in tone. And And then he does move into major keys in the chorus, which you can tell a more lighter sound in the
Mhm.
So that's not made. Let's see, A. So he shifts back into, I think it's A major, because he goes a 1, a 5 to a 4 to a 1 chord. So very traditional progression, but where he starts off with that A minor, which is again very much like Counting Crows. You're right. That's interesting. It gives it that darker sound for the verses.
Well, and interesting, because in the chorus he has that should I leave? Yeah, no. A person that's undecided can't. In this song, also very kind of undecided. Am I minor? Am I major? Am I which way am I going with this?
Yeah. It is interesting. I like that give and take, because it's also like that internal struggle of, do I just give up? Do I just let it go? Like, all of this work for nothing, like whatever. So that kind of melancholy about how he's been, thinking about all of the stuff going on in the country, blah, 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 blah. And then he kind of gets a little more hopeful, where he's almost trying to convince himself, shall I cast this out? Or, because it doesn't matter anyway. So I think I like what he does with the minor and major play. And he leaves on a minor as well. So I kind of like that too. But on a minor 5, I think.
So it's kind of resolved.
So that kind of, and as all of my good friends know, it landed on a 5, which I resolved again. So it kind of gives you that half cadence feel of, I'm not quite done. I'm not sure what I'm going to do here. Basic.
I like that.
Breakdown.
That's a pretty good breakdown. I'll accept it.
It's a little lighter than normal, but it's been a long week. Plus, it's harder with Steven's songs, because I really have to do listening, and I plug them into a thing, and I start really kind of focusing. I hit the piano, I compare to what I've seen online. But with like Bare Naked Ladies stuff, I used to be able to pull up a lot of the sheet music, and I don't have that ability. So I could take a look at the sheet music and then compare and say, okay, yeah, this is exactly what he's doing. And then I'd pick Aaron's brain, but Aaron has decided not to join us. So, but with this, I don't have any of this in sheet music form for Steven. So it's just a guess.
I guess he just decided that, that it would just be wasted words. I think Allie saw what I was doing there. Well, before we get to that, because I'll come back to that, we need to get some numbers on this.
Yeah, let's get some numbers.
0 to 10. What do you guys think about this song? 10 is your island playlist. 0 is erased from existence. I'm going to go first with Heidi.
I like this song. I do. This is one that I listen to often when I'm like, this is a great song just to really ponder and think about and listen to, and marinate on, I think, for me. Even though, again, it's not veiled, it's very clear what it's about. And I'm not a Canadian, but I have spent a lot of time in Canada, and my first husband was Canadian. So maybe he was naturalized then as a U.S. citizen. But I remember stories, like he was born in Hamilton, Ontario, and my first husband's whole family was from the Niagara Falls, Chippewa Falls area. So only those that know Niagara Falls know what Chippewa Falls is, because that's what Niagara Falls, Ontario was originally. But she tried to bring him tried to bring her son across the border because she was living in the States in Niagara Falls, New York at the time. And they wouldn't let her. Like it was this whole thing. And then every time she'd have fruit, it was a whole thing. So lots of Canadian stories. But anyway, I digress. It's late. My brain is shut off. I'm going to give this for lyrical writing ability and the overall sound. I think I'm going to give it an 8. I like it.
Okay. Allie, how about you?
Before I do that, I just learned something I didn't realize. So, Wilted Rose was the single, but only in Canada. That's all. Was the US single. And not that we're there yet, but That's All was actually originally for Maroon.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think I knew and forgot, but
yeah, rejected for Maroon. I'm like, really? Wow. When we get to that one, that one's been around a long time.
Yeah. So, but that makes sense that Wilted Rose would be the Canadian single because Americans are not going to know how much the show is. But I didn't realize that. I thought that was just the single. So
0 to 10.
Oh, okay.
This is always the hardest part of the show for everyone.
You know what? I'm giving this a 10.
Wow.
I love this song. I think this is I'm always hard pressed to say if it's my favorite Vanity Project song because I really love Here Today and Yesterday. But these are definitely my two.
Next week is my favorite, I think, on the album.
These wasted words. They're all good. Well, mostly. But I love this song. I think it's super catchy. And I love that Stephen Page can write a pop song and layer it not only with politics, but name check Trudeau in the chorus. So you're singing the chorus of this pop song about Pierre Trudeau. And I think that's rad as hell. So I give this a 10.
I can understand that. And I don't want to waste too many words. I've wasted a lot of words so far in talking about this song so far. But I like this song. It really grew on me as the week went by. And of course, I love myself some Neil Young and Bob Dylan. So, that influence is definitely a positive for me. Is it way up there for me? It's definitely not as far up there as it is for Allie. But I'm going to give it a 7.9.
Ooh.
So just below that 8 mark. Didn't quite make it there yet, but no, it might change. But tonight, at least listening to it as much as I have this week, we'll give it a 7.9. But next week, we get to come back and we'll have a very, very, very short show, I'm guessing. Because we're going to keep everything concise as we talk about these wasted words. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Which I like that song a lot. So I'm really excited about it.
Thank you both for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. I love these conversations. It's always so much fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again.
Thanks, everybody. Good night, y'all.
Of course, anytime.
That's all.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock has tips to protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report phishing, and update the software on your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, let LifeLock alert you to suspicious uses of your personal information. LifeLock also fixes identity theft, guaranteed or your money back. Stay smart, safe, and protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.